Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Rhinebeck, the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 18th, 2024. And it appears that we have a quorum. All members are here. Let's see. We have two sets of meeting minutes. One is for July 17th, 2024. Did everybody get a chance to review them? I went through them. I'll be very candid. At the beginning, I went through fairly thoroughly, but when we got on to the other stuff with regard to Brookmead, I scanned it. It appeared okay. So I don't know about the rest of the gang. Any corrections, concerns? Okay, I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed. All right. And the same thing for the minutes of August 21st, 2024. They look good to me. They were rather extensive. Both of these were rather extensive because of the Berkeley minutes, and I appreciate that. A lot of work.
Thank you.
So, well, yeah, gotta get credit where credit's due. Took a lot of time.
For a lot of verbiage.
Yes. And a lot of you had to put up with my blathering in there too, so that must have been difficult. But anyway.
Just put blah, 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 blah.
And,
It's got it.
anyway, I didn't see any corrections that were needed on the meeting minutes for August 21st. Did anybody have any corrections, concerns? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as presented for the meeting of August 21st, 2024. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, passed. All righty. Kim, you have down here, or Gretchen, you have down here correspondence or announcements? There's anything, is there? Okay, nothing. And I don't think there was anything to be posted, was there, other than the public hearing? Is there any, up here it says confirmation or modification of posted meeting? Oh,
Oh, that's just the agenda.
okay. Yeah, this is new. New applications. The first one that's on is Robert Meyerson. Is there somebody here for the Meyerson? Aha. I think you've been here before.
Have I been here before?
I think you've been here
I
before.
have been here before.
And I think you know what to do.
So I'm Warren Smith, architect, representing Robert Meyerson and 656 LLC, and I know all of you except for Ryan, so I introduce myself. Thanks for serving on the board in the village. Zoning board is still having trouble getting enough people to have a quorum month to month, so you're lucky, but you do a good job. So this is a property on Route 308, kind of across from the Performing Arts Center, and this and a couple of adjacent houses were subdivided off a larger parcel, obviously constructed, I think, in the early 60s, long before the current zoning came into effect. In fact, I think at least 2 revisions to the town zoning law that have occurred in the area since then. The most recent one took this less than 1 acre parcel and stuck it in a 5 acre zone, which means that automatically setbacks are going to be difficult to apply to a project like this. So we have the challenge that the owner bought this house, I don't know how many years ago, but certainly sometime after it was built, and said, yeah, I'd like to put an in-ground swimming pool on the property. And there's not a lot of places we can put it there. We don't even think about the zoning setbacks for the moment that apply both for the primary and accessory structures. We have wetlands, the national wetlands setback, we have the EEC wetland setback, we have the floodplain overlay, and then for a septic system, we have mandated offsets from both a septic field and a septic tank. So all of those are plotted on here. When we look at all that, the only possible place we can stuff a pool in is right in this little corner here behind the house, because we don't want it in front of the house. I mean, the town wouldn't want it, the owner wouldn't want it in front of the house. So we have a very, very restricted place we can put an in-ground pool. One of the interesting things about an in-ground pool is it does have these understandable offsets from subsurface on-site wastewater treatment system, whereas an above-ground pool, which is visually much more obvious from a neighbor, shall we say. It doesn't have those same requirements, but we want an in-ground pool. So what we propose is an in-ground pool and a patio right behind the house in that southwest corner. But in order to put it there, we need a variance for the pool and patio. We actually lined them up with the existing edge of the house, but the house is now within the setbacks since, you know, the property. So even lining up the house, we need a variance. And then the other thing that we're requesting a variance for is a little pool equipment shed, which can have a pump, circulator, and so forth. And that, it wouldn't matter if it didn't have electricity to it, but it has electricity. So anyway, there are really two variances. One is to be able to put the pool and patio in line with the house because it's now within both the primary and secondary structure setbacks, and then the pool shed here, it's not a pool house, it's just a equipment shed, we're putting in this corner because again, we're very limited in where else we can put it. So there's a variance requested there. So those are the two variances that we're requesting. There's some photos of the site, and if you want to site visit, I'm happy to meet you there. But that's the gist of this application.
Yeah, typically we do the site visits after the public hearing.
I see.
In case we hear from the public and they have
Come
concerns.
on. Sure.
And then we can think about that when we're out there. And the application was well done, as I would expect from you. But the only thing that we do need is what we usually ask for is color renderings, showing the pool where, you know, on the site. And Gretchen, we must have had, what, 3, 4, 5 of these pool cases where people are able to show where the pool is in relationship to the house, and
Okay.
it's realistic, and gives us an idea what it's going to look like.
Sure.
Finished. So, if you have any questions about what we require as far as the color renderings in the pool kind of case, Gretchen has multiple examples to provide you.
Very
You can ask.
Does your client have any expectations of breaking ground?
No. I have eaten back those expectations repeatedly. And I think it's in contact with the earliest.
You know, wise beyond your years.
Mark,
I'm
would
just
you
curious.
like to explain the photos that you had provided, like where those are taken from?
Well, from the back of the house, you know, from the pool is proposed to be right in this area here, at the patio. There's a heavy vegetated screen with trees and other brush on this side of the house, which is, again, the closest side. And there's a similar, basically wall of vegetation on the east side as well.
Yeah.
And to the back, we have more vegetation between that and the wetland boundaries, and nothing could be built behind the house. But I would say this project will be pretty much invisible to the neighbors.
And you'll have it all staked out, obviously, when we go out there, so.
Staked out.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, do they have requirements for expansion space on the septic field back when that was built? Probably not, right? 'Cause I know I
Well,
built
if we
mine.
were putting it in today, there certainly would be.
Yeah, I know, I've had to
Yeah.
do that, that's why I'm
Right.
asking the question.
As it is, the immediate neighbor to the east, almost all the development of that property is within the flood overlay, so probably would be able to develop that today. But, yeah, we're not changing anything in the house or the septic system.
And it's across the street from the Performing Arts Center.
It is.
Show you, this is this is the parcel access right here.
Right.
Our Performing Arts Center's right up here.
That's where the driveway opposite goes into
And that's the driveway that goes into the tennis club.
the tennis club as well.
Yeah,
That's correct.
right there.
Any other questions, concerns?
Cut and dry.
It's pretty simple. Yeah, I think. So,
Yeah, I just had a quick
Okay,
question
sure.
for Warren. Up here in the corner of this project, you have 3 fences. Are these going to be the fence you have installed?
That's an example of the kind of fence that would be around a pool.
Do you have
that would
a preference?
visibility through. What's that?
Do you have a preference as to the color that you want to paint it? There's like 3 kind of black.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're just really trying to show that it would be a wood frame fence with the metal mesh infill. If color is a concern, I can owner can pick one, certainly, we can tell you what that is.
okay, again, I think we have enough here to consider it. So, I would make a motion, subject to my colleagues, that we accept the application, subject to getting those renderings before the next meeting, And typically, Gretchen, we get it, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before. So again, she has tons of examples, just to give us an idea what it's going to look like. That'd be very helpful. So anyway, I'll make a motion that we accept the application subject to receiving the renderings that have been requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, you know what that means. We're going to put you on for a public hearing. And the next public hearing is what, October 16th? Okay. We'll be able to make it October 16th, all right? And you know what happens, obviously, you've been here a million times. We'll get to, if there's any audience, or even if there isn't an audience, we'll go through the application again. We'll have the renderings, we may have some more questions, then we'll set up a visit, site visit. Typically, we've been doing them on Saturdays, like a couple weeks after the public hearing, so. And we'll need to have the state that. Sure. All right, well, it's a pleasure to see you, and we'll see you on October 16th. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we have a couple housekeeping things to do here. Seeker, it's been suggested by our council that this is a type 2 action under 617.5C16, which is the granting of individual setbacks, unlocking variances and adjustments, which is correct. So I would make a motion that we deem this to be a type 2 action under 617.5C16. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Only referral is to the town of Rhinebeck Planning Board. And is there, let's see, yeah, who would like to be the point person on this? Any volunteers?
I will. You will.
It's up to you two. Don't find out. There you go.
How's your kids?
Go for it.
You won.
So it's Brian. You get the next one.
I'll get the next.
All right, so, great. And we have another new application we have to do tonight, and this is the Heights matter, and I believe we have somebody here for the Heights matter.
Yes.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening. Mark Vincent here representing Chris and Laura Hines. It's also properties known as Woodland Cliff LLC. Property is, address of the property is actually 360 Norton Road. It is located at the southwesterly corner of Mill and Morton Road. Morton Road is to the north, Mill Road is to the east. This property is a little more than 36, 37 acres. I don't think some of the zoning board members that are here now, there was actually a previous application to this board a few years ago for area variance for having an accessory structure in the front yard. And it's actually right here. There's so as you enter in, driveway used to be off Mill Road, that has been removed. And now there's a driveway, new driveway that was constructed off of Morton Road, comes in. Main residence is located right here. And then a driveway loop goes to, this was first of all, this is a historic property. And adjacent to Wilderstein. Wilderstein is located right here. This is an existing barn that some work was done to restore and renovate this barn, and then part of the application was to add a garage with a breezeway connection to this barn. And so this garage is actually closer to the front yard. We have a double frontage lot here, so it's closer to the front yard than the principal residence. So it was a previous application that was heard by this board, and area variance was granted. This particular application, and so there's Hudson River right here. This particular application is for construction of a pool pavilion. And so I pointed out that the main residence is right here, And so then this box right here there's an existing pool. And they have, some, some like shades that are associated with the pool right now. They're just like
Yep.
very thin. And there's actually an existing fence around there. But this particular application is for construction of a pool pavilion right here. And then there'll be some associated landscaping that's going to go along with that. And not only do we have application in front of this, so once again, we go to, because we're a double frontage lot, here's the principal residence, here's another road. We're proposing to construct this pool pavilion in the front yard of the principal residence. So specific application making to this board is for an area variance for another accessory structure on the property to be constructed in the front yard. And so, as I said, so it's in this location here, and then there's also some associated landscaping improvements, to provide a connection between the residents and the new pool pavilion. And so, in addition to making application to this board, there's also, I made application to, on behalf of the Hineses, to the planning board. And so met with the planning board Monday evening, and so it's an application for site plan and special permit. And so it also, and one of the special permit items is actually, because this is located in the HB 20 zoning district, when you have accessory structures located in the HB 20 zoning district, the number and the allowable accessory structures is part of a special permit application with the planning board and not this board. And so I've also, for this board's information, I've compiled the number of accessory structures and also the total area of the accessory structures, which is a calculation that is required for the HB 20 zoning district. And everything falls under the allowable code. So, so that aspect of it is being handled by the town planning board. And so it's just strictly having this structure in the front yard of the principal resident is what this board needs to be considered. And so I'll just note that I've had multiple meetings with the planning board, and the planning board's, is very much interested in, the visibility of this new structure from Mill Road. And so you can see right here, so I have numbered, arrows, and, actually 1 through 6, with one being out of order. And so one of the concerns of the planning board is visibility of this new structure from Mill Road. And then also, in consideration that the planning board has, is maintaining a visibility to the river from Mill Road. And so, if we could go through some of the other slides. So, like right here, I show, like up here is, this photo one, and I just took all these photos. And what I'm trying to show with these photos is there's a lot of vegetation that exists between Mill Road and this structure, right? And so, but once again, the planning board was interested in maintaining the view corridor. So, Kim, if we could go through some, and what I also have, what I've included for this board with the application is, so.
You want me to pull that up?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Is that next on your slide? Or?
Yes, it is. I have them in order.
I'm sorry, how high is the building?
So I have plans, I have architectural plans. It's less than 6 feet.
What do you view?
What do you can see from the road?
Right.
I'm demonstrating that you're not going to see anything. You won't see a building.
I don't think
We can figure that
I
out.
saw that, you want that,
Yeah,
that
the-
corridor, right?
Well, no, we'll just go in order.
Okay, sure.
Right? So, so here, architectural plans, this is, you know, basic footprint and floor plan that'll show the pavilion and the outside patio areas. Here's the existing pool, the patio associated with that.
No, Mark, I had a question, because it looks like it's kind of perilously close to a house almost. I don't see bedrooms, but that's about the only thing you're missing here.
Well,
And that would be, I guess, I assume the planning board probably had some concerns about that, and whether,
I've addressed that already with the plan.
okay,
So if you take a look, so here's a mechanical room, here's a bathroom. This is an open corridor. And then this could be, you know, this is a habitable space here. There's
Does this say dog trot?
yeah, dog trot right through here.
that's, we've never heard of that before, but we looked it up.
Neither of us.
I'm gonna Google that.
It is, well,
And so I've gone to great lengths and so through previous applications that I've done with the planning board, to demonstrate that that it's not it's not a bedroom, it's not a habitable structure for the bedroom. And actually we had, it was an area variance application with this board also on, it was for, shoot.
it's okay.
Yeah, we just did it last year. Birdhouse LLC, do you remember that? It was on,
Vaguely.
you know, it was the conversion of a garage to a pool house, right? And then
Oh,
they
you
had,
had the
Yes.
door on the other side.
and they had, and so they had a workshop in there.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, there was access from the workshop to the bathroom. The minute we closed that off, the planning board did not consider it, you know, another habitable space.
I mean, it just kind of,
I
when you look at,
understand.
you understand, when you
Yes, I
see
do.
all this, it's, the only thing that's missing is bedrooms, and then,
Right, and that's not the intention.
Okay.
And if any other architectural changes need to be made, we'll make them, because it's not the intention to have this as another dwelling.
by the way, Kim was kind enough, because I did remember, I think I was the only member that was on the board at the time of the last inspection of the property. It was back in February of 2022, were you here?
Actually,
Yeah.
actually, I think we did the resolution.
Big Red Barn, yeah.
Yeah, Big Red Barn.
Remember it was raining like hell?
Yeah, and they had the old stables,
Oh, you were there too?
that the planning board wanted to keep those stables.
You were there for that one?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I apologize.
They did, they kept the staples.
Yeah, I know.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
They were really, that was really
Planning
neat.
board
Right.
Made them put the garage in a different area so that they could use stables.
Right,
and use it
This is
for
the
offset.
project from last
Can
year.
you hand this to Gretchen? Gretchen, this is the application, the prior application. And I was just wondering if we could get copies for everybody and maybe get a copy of the resolution. So we know historically what happened beforehand.
Yeah, this is it right here.
Yeah. Is that-
Gretchen, I have them all, so
Okay.
I'll send it to you digitally.
Oh, I should have it, right?
Yeah,
I think it was from 2022.
yeah.
It's February 2022.
April.
It took a while.
Okay.
So, you know, overall layout of the pool pavilion and, you know, outdoor space and patio, existing pool. Kim, if we could go to the next slide, please.
Yeah, just, so these, the CLO, is that supposed to be closets?
Yes,
Okay. And then what are these rooms weren't really one?
they're open, it's open space, this is open through here, so it's just, you know, some,
Oh, it opens out to
yeah,
the pool?
it opens out to the pool.
Oh, okay. Like a
It
little
looks
patio.
like a spa area, a home, between the gym and the bath and the steam shower.
Here's a hot tub.
Well, I mean,
Here's the
there's a lot more than the hot tub. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
If you put a bedroom, then I don't know what what's the square footage?
I can't tell you. Well, let's see, we can look at what all dimensions.
Can I go back to?
Yes, please. is right here, 25 by, well, that's 94 is overall, so we have, this is 1831, so that's, so 25 by 50, right? But that also includes, this, this space through here, too,
25 by 50.
right? Next slide, please. But this is a roof. It's actually a green roof that's associated with the project. So and it just shows you where the roof area is. Once again, showing pool, patio, and concept.
Is the chimney just for fireplaces?
Yes, yes. Next slide, please. Just giving you some views. Here's the north elevation, right through here. South elevation. Right. Next slide, please. West elevation, right, riverside. And most importantly, here's the east elevation. This is the elevation that you see from the road. And so the idea is that this is a stone surface with plantings associated with it. And once again, it's really good for.
But when you say stone, are you talking about like the old stone things, or is it more like square blocks, like more modern?
It's like a stone wall.
Like the old.
Yeah, it's like a stone. Yeah, like typical historic stone wall. Next slide, please. So now you get aerial view, right? With the outline of the improvements. So now here you get to see that wall, right? Pool pavilion here, pool patio. Here's the garden and walkway connection into the main residence. And then here's Mill Road. And this gives you a sense of, when we go to the next slide, you'll see a slide that shows existing vegetation and also proposed plantings there. That are being proposed. Next slide, please. Mill Road. This is aerial photo view. This is a view corridor from Mill Road that goes to the river that will be maintained. This is where I have those photos looking at it. Here's the pool. So pool pavilion will be located in this area here. Here's the walkway into the main residence over there. And once again, gives you an idea. This is that view corridor that we're trying to maintain. It's right through there. It's going right to there where you see the river. Looking straight into the pool house, it's going to be back in this location here. Next slide, please. Here's a, once again, a better plan view. Here's that corridor. The trees like these are existing trees, and not all the. You can see from the photos I've taken, there's a lot of brush through here that's going to remain, and then these are additional plantings that are going to take place. That's going to screen. You're going to screen this section of the pool pavilion from Mill Road.
The ones in green are the ones that will be planted.
That's correct.
Are there going to be like evergreen trees supposed to deciduous and deciduous?
There's both, Joe, both. There's an entire plant list here showing the type of trees that will be planted. Next slide, please.
I think that's.
Is that it?
I have your whole application if you want a particular.
No, I think that's
It
it.
pretty much covers it. And again, the only thing a nice application as always, thank you. But I would like to see, and it's actually in my notes, or Kim's notes too, color renderings of the structure itself. So we know what the structure is going to, we have an idea what it's going to look like, but color, so we know exactly what it's going to look like, which is pretty important, as you know, because that's one of the considerations we have to deal with. So color renderings of the pool pavilion, and then renderings of the fence.
Yes.
And that's about all I can think of. But
Do you want to have a rendering of the building as seen from Mill Road?
if that's possible.
That's that's,
Yeah.
right, so that's why,
Of course, the site inspection is going to be helpful for that too, but
right, and so, obviously especially the site inspection, you can see that it's going to be mainly screened right now. Obviously, when leaves drop, there'll be a little bit more. And so and so renderings are being prepared
Okay,
for the planning
great.
board also. So we
Okay.
are doing that. And the same thing will be, details with regard to, this wall right here. Same thing, there's a pool fence here.
yeah.
It's actually clear, it's glass.
Oh, on the west side?
Yeah, on the west side, so here you see through, yeah. And then there's also going to be a new fence, for security associated with it, similar to actually what Warren showed too, just, a mesh foam.
And is that stone wall part of the fence around the
Yeah, it is.
pool?
It'll be,
How tall will the stone wall be?
well, minimum of 4 feet, right, but in some places higher than that, so, right, because it, once again, is part of the structure. So that'll all be detailed, you have that information.
I know that view, I've been running and biking that road for 44 years.
Yeah.
So I know, I've watched it grow in, and you can hardly see the river now. I know it really well. And by the way, it used to have a pool house, which was, they moved it, and it's that little play house.
So-
That used to be the pool house,
Well, it was
right about where you're building.
It was a bathroom.
It was a bathroom.
Kim, could you go back to my site plan? Like, no one's paid me for the, like when you were predicting the time
Yeah.
that I was in. Did I mess it up?
No, you're fine.
Does you have money on it or something?
We always have money on it. Well, we don't have money on it. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I don't mean to.
I got get caught, so I'm good. I think Kim's out.
I
You're
remember
done.
in the 80s that playhouse used to be where you're building the.
Well, so right, see that box right there?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the playhouse, right?
Uh-huh.
And actually, thanks for bringing it up, because I forgot to bring it up in my presentation here. So it was part of a application made to the planning board to move it. So it was moved to this location, right there. It's right there. It's right near that. However, what that did is it provided water and sewer for it was bathroom. It was bathroom for the pool. And that's all it was.
Oh, so the plumbing is there.
So the plumbing is there.
Uh-huh.
And actually, Kim, if you could push this down a little bit. So there was, the previous owners had gone through and had made an application to the health department and had modified the sanitary on the property. So what's going to happen here is septic tank's going to go in here to a pump station. And right there is an existing pump station. And so I'm going to pump a sanitary waste to here, and then from this pump station, here's the new absorption field, right there. So that's all. We're going to be able to utilize some of that infrastructure.
Cool.
And, and so no new septic system has to be constructed, which is really important not to have another bed. If we have another bedroom, then all bets are off. So we will, we'll solidify that.
Great.
Thank you.
Questions? Concerns?
I just have a quick question for Mark, for the overhead shot, the aerial shot.
Yeah.
Was this recently taken? Is this from partial access, or I'm just wondering if that's kind of what it looks like now, or what it had looked like? I don't know.
I think that was in 2020. It's not a recent, it is parcel access. Yeah, that's it.
I don't know that road that runs along Mill Road. Is that just a dirt path?
That's a path, that's a path that is on the property.
All right, any other questions, concerns? All right, then I'd make a motion that we accept the application subject to receiving the renderings that are already under production that are to be provided to the planning board as
Yes.
and provided to us. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And we'll put you on for a public hearing on October 16th. Is that a date that's acceptable?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll see you on the 16th, and make sure you get those renderings to us within, 2 weeks of the meeting.
Yes, I will.
Great.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, good night.
All right, so housekeeping. The seeker's already been taken care of by the planning board, or is in the process of being taken care of by the planning board?
Yes, on Monday night's meeting, they classified it as a type 2 action.
Yep, okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Referrals to the town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, of course, they already have it in front of them, and also the WAC. We've already gone over the color renderings, the various items, so I think we just need a contact person. You won the last time around.
I may switch with him since he's not here.
You can do that if you like, I mean, it's really, that's what
Does
happens.
anybody-
really.
You have to ask if he objects though, but right now.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, no, I don't, I'm the chairman, I'll do whatever I want, this is the dictation of
He's-
truth.
He will lose it because he goes, no, give it to him.
You want to give Richard, then you'll take that one. He is familiar.
He gets sensitive.
Yes. All right. So that's it for the new applications. We do have one public hearing, and that's on the Geyer case. So we have somebody here for that. Come on up, and what we'd ask you to do is to go over the application. There does not appear to be any public here unless they're hiding.
Yeah, very disappointed.
Well,
Apparently the neighbors were supposed to come, the clients had talked extensively with the neighbor to the south of where this project is proposed. And they were supposed to come and say that they have no issues with what's going on. I don't know where.
well, they can
Where they
still,
are.
submit something to the,
Yeah, I'm going to ask if they could submit something in writing and email it or whatever to.
yes, they can do that. We can make that part of the record. I'll tell you up front, we received, and we want you to go through the application and all that.
Yeah, you got to think of the planning board, right?
Yes, we did.
I only know because I called Gretchen, and I had the planning board, I felt like gave me like the cold shoulder last night, and you guys are much more relaxed. I appreciate that. But, yeah, they had some issues and things. I thought I could leave. I didn't want to stay for like the never-ending meeting, which evidently went until after 10 o'clock, so I'm glad I left. But evidently they talked about the ZBA referral thing at the end, which I missed, but because I called Gretchen, she was able to email it to me.
Right, and I just got it this afternoon. We all just got it this afternoon, late this afternoon. So there was a request by the planning board that we keep the public hearing open. And as a courtesy, we typically do that. So I will make an application. Well, first of all, I should make a motion to open the public hearing. And all in favor? Aye. Okay. So public hearing is open. We are going to continue it after you do your presentation as a courtesy to the planning board because of their request today. So,
Gotcha.
and that'll give those neighbors the opportunity to send emails, letters, or whatever they want, because if we had closed the public hearing, then they technically would be closed off. So
Gotcha.
anyway, so if you could just go through the application.
Yeah, so what we're proposing is go to the next page. A sports court, so this is like the existing conditions. A sports court, there we go. Sports court here, which would require I believe it's a 20-foot side lot variance. It's basically just this corner. I think this is the offset right here, so I guess it's about half of the court. We had positioned, before we got to this point, the engineer, myself, the landscape architect, played around with, I don't even remember how many different orientations of this whole thing, and settled on this one. We wanted to, per the client's request, try to preserve this tree here, which is a 26-inch caliper red oak tree. It's also possible to remove this tree, slide this over, and then it would just require a front yard variance, which the clients are open to. So, I know I'm on the ZBA in Stanford, so I know the whole submit or approve the minimum required variance, basically. So, one way or another, it's going to be the front yard. There's no possible way for it to go anywhere else.
And I think the planning board felt that there may be some modification. And
Yeah.
as a result of that, it asked us to put it off. So if a modification is made, then we can come back and deal with the modification.
Yeah, one of the planning board members had suggested, or it was tossed around the idea of switching these two. Basically, this is just a fenced-in grass area for kids to play soccer, football, whatnot, and is not considered an accessory structure. And it was proposed to possibly switch these two. The client wanted this orientation, so they are willing to slide this over to eliminate the side lot variance, and then we would just need a proposed front yard variance. But it just involves reworking stuff a little bit. But the existing walls, the proposed retaining walls here, some planning board members had said that it's a lot. We had proposed this 3-tiered terraced system with plantings in between because it looks a lot nicer than like a 8-foot wall. And it can be planted around a lot better, and it's just more visually appealing.
How far do you have to slide it over?
This?
Yeah.
Basically, it's 20 feet, so it's, it would actually have to go more to go this way, more than 20 feet, so it would essentially end up like here, which puts it pretty close to that. The other thing the planning board had said is, for some reason, I don't really know why, they don't like that there's two separate fenced-in areas. One member had asked why you need a fence around it. I think people understand why you have a fence around a sports court, because if you're trying to play pickleball and the ball just takes off. And this property, as most of the properties are on the river, all just slope down. So very good possibility if you're playing soccer over here and the ball ends up in the driveway, that the ball will end up across the railroad tracks in Hudson, because it just goes. And so that's why we had proposed the fence there surrounding that area. The client wants each area sort of separate because, one's to play pickleball, and the other one's to play, catch, baseball, soccer, whatnot.
Where is Morton Road on this?
Not, so if you go out the driveway, I think it might be on the survey, 2 pages prior.
So you can't see any of that from
This-
Morton Road?
Yeah,
Let me
no.
go back.
This is about 800 and some odd feet from the road,
Right,
and
okay.
This is the house,
yeah, so this is
and then this is Morton.
This is Morton Road. So you come down the driveway, part of our application to the planning board, which I guess doesn't involve you guys, is 2 stone pillars at either side of the driveway. Which I have all those renderings in there.
Yeah, thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
That was very
They asked
helpful.
that, planning board asked for more pictures. I thought that was like adequate, but
They-
I gave like 10 views, so I couldn't give every view. I didn't give a 3D walkthrough, but I tried to give as much as possible.
They do a great job, and they have a very hard job.
Yeah.
The reason we're more relaxed is
Narrow
we do a very narrower scope, and we usually don't have the issues they have, so.
Yeah, totally understand. So, yeah, and right here, which is not pictured,
Catherine had a question.
yeah, go ahead.
If you move the bottom court over them to reduce the variance needed, you'll have to lose that tree.
Yes. Yeah, so that is really the only existing tree that would provide any shade to that area, which is why we kind of wanted to leave it. It was surrounded at one point by a lot of dead trees, dead hemlock trees, that were, had basically fallen down, uprooted, and being taken away. But, yeah, that's why we had sort of oriented this. And also, something we considered when we did this is the sports court of these, this is gonna be like a 4-foot fence around the, grassy play area. This is a 7.5-foot tall fence, so obviously it's significantly taller. And it being closer to the wall, being closer to all of our screen plantings, this neighboring property was recently purchased, and they actually have submitted plans to the town to build a house there, which they'll be, I guess, visiting you guys because they're gonna need variances as well. But we had, taken great care to provide plantings in this area to completely screen it. And with that in mind, when we designed this, was obviously, if you have something tall and you have trees that are blocking it, the closer it is to the trees, the more effective the screening is for it. But as it goes further out, eventually you lose that blind spot theoretically. So that's why we had proposed it there. In addition to that, for the sports court to go here, for them to flip-flop, would require significantly more earth moving, because this area here could just be built up off of the existing subsoil to bring in soil to level the area. We wouldn't really be bringing much soil, we'd be using soil that was excavated on site to compact, to build up the area for lawn. However, if you're building a sports court there, the process is completely different, and would require more excavation and whatnot. So it was all designed in mind to reduce the amount of earth moving and to make things the most practical as possible.
The photos that we're looking at now, are those actual plus inserted?
Yeah, so there's some photos, site photos, and then there's, the renderings. Of course.
Renderings, the
Right.
renderings.
The renderings of more
Yeah, you want me to go to
artificial.
the,
Yeah.
go me
Sure.
to the rendering?
Yeah.
They're good rendering.
They are?
Yeah.
So this is, if you come down the driveway, as you can see, and if you're standing like here, basically directly behind me is where the house would be back, from this point down about 150 feet. This is the guest house, and this is essentially, the sports court, what we're talking about here.
And then there's a garage with a studio up above it, right?
That's like here-ish. Yeah. So one of the things the planning board had taken issue with is, like, sort of the client told us what we wanted, we designed what they wanted, and we figured you can always take away. You can't, it's better to take away than try to add stuff on. So they had originally said, we're only up here 2 days a week. We would like to have lighting on the sports court. When I talked to the client today and told her that that was sort of possibly an issue with the type of lighting, more like a post with lights to illuminate the whole court. And that was the one concern that the neighboring property had, was those lights. She said, you know what, we'll just nix the lights. So, they're willing to make compromises to try to get this project moving. They want us, as well as we want to, be able to get started on the project before winter, so we can get our footings and everything in, so we can essentially spend the entire winter here building stone walls. So, yeah, sure.
Is this the couple with the Rolls Royce SUV?
No, they have like well, every time I go, there's a different, like, some of them are be friends' cars. They have a Tesla, I know, and BMW SUV, but I've never seen a Rolls Royce SUV. So this is sort of what the pillars look like. This here is not really, we're not doing anything to the plantings. There's trees, there's some existing, brush and stuff that's growing in there. There's some ferns, native ferns that have grown, but essentially all we're doing here is the pillars with the lights.
Am I understanding correctly that one of the issues that the planning board has was that these were removed prior to
Yeah, so
authorization?
we have removed some dead and diseased trees from the property, And then when the area where it's proposed to go, essentially, there was I would say about 50 dead, some uprooted, some standing dead, some snapped off hemlock trees that had gotten fully adelgid and, completely fallen apart. So we had gone in there and removed those trees because over the winter last year, the clients had us go through the property and remove all the branches and stuff that were laying on the ground.
All the way up to Morton Road.
Yeah.
Right.
So they had asked for us to do that because she said, do people do that? And I said, yeah, people, I do it at my house, and I hate dead stuff laying on the ground. It also reduces, mosquito population and stuff like that by getting some of that rotting or whatever. So we had done all that, and then they said, can we take dead trees out here? When we did that, there was 2 trees that once all this stuff, all these dead trees were out of there, there was more ability for the wind to go through there. And one of these trees snapped a branch, nearly caved in the roof of the guest house. So the client said, can you take these 2 trees down? So we knocked those 2 trees down. And then Brian Tam showed up and the boss. So yeah, there were concerns about some of that stuff, but there was some work that got done. I mean, we didn't do the work because we were like, oh, screw the town. We were just not aware that upon reading the code, and even Brian explained, it's very vague as far as what is and is not allowed when it comes to clearing trees and stuff like that.
And so, to help me understand, so your application was in process when those, I'm going to say that?
No.
Or was it
So we hadn't submitted
anything?
anything. So the client's initial thought was, can we clean up this, well, not this area, but clean up the area where it was. And then I said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do anything with the area? And she said, we'd like to have a place to play basketball or, pickleball and stuff like that, and soccer, because the rest of the property is very, uneven. The only flat spot in the whole yard, really, is the septic system, because it's a raised bed septic, so it's nice and flat, and they currently, play soccer and stuff over there, frisbee. But once you get to the edge of the septic field, it's just right down to, there's a seasonal creek way down below the pool, existing pool, and they basically wanted us, they're like, this would be a great area to build that, and then that's when we,
Did you get a stop work order?
we did, yeah.
You got a stop work order from
Yeah.
Maddox or whatever.
From
Clearing
Brian.
the tree from Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the time, we had been rebuilding some existing stone walls on the property, and which was allowed, rebuilding of the existing stone walls. And I showed Brian the photos of the walls that we had. The wall we were working on when he arrived, I evidently did not take a photo of. So he said, just to be safe, just stop. So we said, okay, stop. So yeah, that's
Right,
pretty
well, it
much.
sounds like we need to
Yeah,
have the plan.
let me just go through, these
Yeah,
are the
that-
renderings.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So here's the fence, it's just, posts, non-stained, left to, they'll eventually weather. And it doesn't really show up here, but it's black vinyl coated wire mesh.
It's a night, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
But it's a night view with lights here and then.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna remain with those path lights because it's just a walkway here, just so people can see, you're out playing, so you can find your way back, because in here and down here, there's steps, and as everyone goes, walking down steps in the dark is not fun. So those are gonna stay, but we're gonna eliminate the sport lights. And then this is essentially, as you pull in the driveway, that garage that you talked about is sort of over here. And this is basically what you'll see.
But those stone pillars that you have another shot like this, is that what you'll see on Morton Road?
Yeah, so when you come in Morton Road, the driveway comes in and then starts to turn. It's right at the end. It's about 120 feet off the
Where you're
road.
gonna build stone pillars,
Yeah.
you're gonna put light, and there'll be light.
Yeah, there's a light, it's basically, there's gonna be 2 undercap lights here, not an entire strip, but that, you couldn't really do it on the rendering the proper way, so. 2 undercap lights there, 2 here, there's nothing on the outside. So basically, just to eliminate, so you can see the face of the pillar in the 52,
And will there be gates on that?
no gates.
I think there's another property around
Yeah,
Morton Road.
they
that-
did it just
that-
several years ago, 2 years ago.
With gates or?
With,
No.
that looks very similar to
Very
that.
similar to that, a little narrower, and I don't think they have lights on it, but it's,
Yeah, I found that a lot of people put their pillars way too close together, and then they get hit by the UPS guy, FedEx, fire truck. So these are, on sort of a straightaway before a turn, and they're far enough apart that you're not gonna have issues like that. Because as you know, if somebody hits one of those fast enough, it's like tear the thing apart and rebuild it. It's not, they're not easy to fix.
This is gonna be dark, I think.
Yeah, so that's just basically the path coming from the sports court behind you, leading down here towards. So those lights will be next.
So on the site these site visits, this is after the trees have been?
This was like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago? Or no, about a month.
This was your first submission? right?
Yeah, so about a month or 2 ago. So when we had received a stop work order, I asked Brian, which a couple of the members of the planning board asked, but I didn't remember it was in this photo. You can see silt sock erosion control here. Craig had said something about that he didn't see erosion control, but when they came for their site visit, this entire area here was covered by these crazy weeds that were around 3 or 4 feet tall, so he probably didn't see it. But I had asked him, I said, listen, it's going to be a while before we're able to do work here again. Can we seed this area? So he said, yeah, that's fine. So we seeded it with annual ryegrass, seeded it and strawed it so that we could stabilize the area so there wasn't any further, erosion. But yeah, this was a photo when it was taken. And when it's been so dry, the ryegrass basically turned to, it's like when you leave toast in the toaster too long, it's a crisp. So there's not much there, but there's still some straw there that's eroding, not eroding, but that's helping to stabilize it. There is no visible erosion up the space. But yeah, this area up here essentially is where the sports court.
This is the oak tree?
Yes, that's the oak tree that we would like to preserve, but are willing to remove if necessary.
And what are these, this is just from,
Yeah, that's just some soil, some roots and stuff, like organic matter basically. And that, both of the back picture.
is that a ruin of a garage? Oh, no, that's the stone wall.
Yeah, so this is, you can see right there, so when Brian came and said stuff. So yeah, this is exactly what the walls will look like. This wall in particular is dry laid. These walls, per the engineer's suggestion, are the pure dry laid, but there's mortar on the inside of the walls to hold it together.
is there what's right beyond the oak tree? Is there like a hole there?
Yeah, it's sort of like an area that was leveled off.
But that's where the sports court would be?
Correct, yeah. And so, as you can see, if one of the planning board members had suggested put the sports court here, again, the neighboring property, if they build a house, it's gonna be somewhere like up in there. And having the sports court tucked over here with large trees planted on the high part of the ridge there on on our client's property is going to provide excellent screening so that even if they build their house at the highest point here, you're essentially looking over top of everything, not down onto it. And versus if we put the sports court down here, you have a wall that, you know, fences that are 3 feet taller and stuff like that, you know, we haven't done, you know, line of sight to see what it, but it certainly would be more visible than a lower fence area.
More visible from Morton Road?
No, so right here.
From the house that could be built.
The proposed house,
Yeah. So right here is a rock outcropping that, I think the top of that is about 25 feet in elevation higher than like the toe of the slope. So you would have to build like a 2-story structure to be able to see from anywhere further up the driveway. And actually this area here, even when it's cleared, isn't visible until you're about 150 feet. You get about 150 feet on the driveway from this location because it sort of winds down and around the corner. It's just the way the topography is, it's well hidden. So.
Maybe there's more details.
Oh, yeah, that's just.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we're handcuffed at this point, so I'm glad we did the presentation, and we got to know a little bit more about the background and things like that, and what the concerns of the planning board are, but, you know, at this point in time, I think I'll just make a motion, you know, in deference to the planning board, that we continue the public hearing until the 16th of October. Hopefully, all the issues that the planning board has will be addressed. If there are any
Yeah,
modifications.
just to say, I believe, and Gretchen, you can correct me, oh, I bet you it's because Columbus Day is
Oh.
on Monday.
Oh.
I believe, so the
Planning
planning
board.
board had also referred the application out to CPL, the consulting engineers, to look at the retaining wall and the drainage. I believe the next time it's on the planning board is October 21st, which will be after this meeting. So would you like to maybe continue the public hearing to the November?
I think we're going to
Because I
have to.
don't think the planning board's going to have any.
I mean, I know you don't want to hear that, and your clients don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, they want
He's breaking ground already.
I mean, they want to get started up. It's the winter is really the concern.
Well,
So-
maybe what we can do is what we've done in the past is be prepared to have a resolution on, because we'll have the input. hopefully,
I can
but
get started on
You
it.
can get started on it, yeah. We
So
may
that
have
we-
something.
I mean, we would be happy to adjust the plans to, you know, make the planning board more comfortable with the application essentially.
Which you're not
But
gonna be
they
in
didn't
front
really
of.
give us any, they didn't give it any specifics. They talked about concerns. I mean, I think that we would address those concerns by eliminating the lighting and, you know, whether or not, I mean, I don't know what your guys' feeling is on the side lot variance, whether removal of the tree, you know, is something that you would rather see than issuing the side lot variance.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. My advice, I know which you might want, but my advice would be to temper expectations in terms of the timeline, because you've got to reconcile with the planning board,
Yeah.
and we really aren't going to be able to do anything, am I correct?
Yeah,
And,
well, because of the
by the way, there's
holiday.
the holiday too.
That's what screws it up, is the holiday.
Yeah.
Because what, then you guys are after,
So-
or you're before the planning
So
board, basically?
the planning,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's unusual that happens. I think it's the way that the dates.
It could have been
fall
good if
out.
it went.
But it doesn't,
Right away.
here's what happens, is
Is it
that
not?
the first, so the planning board meets the second Monday, the first Monday
First and
and the
third.
third Monday. The first Monday
It's
doesn't
a
happen.
holiday.
No, the first Monday happens on October, so September 30th is a Monday. The first day in October happens on a Tuesday, which is why it's kind of staggered, I think. Because then our first Wednesday happens before the planning board's first Monday. I think that's what it is. So it actually doesn't even, it's not even Columbus Day, it's October 2nd and October 21st normally. And then it's because our first Wednesday happens on the 2nd, our third Wednesday happens on the 16th. So that's just how it happens. Calendar-wise, it's not even a holiday, that's messing up.
From your guys' perspective, obviously the variance is what you guys deal with. Would you guys be more comfortable with, obviously there's issues to address directly with the planning board, but if the planning board defers to you guys for the side lot variance, we basically, I want to avoid a situation where, I know it's, you may get pushed off a bit, but avoid it getting pushed off even further than that. So essentially,
I don't
is it
think,
better to say
I don't-
in the new plans, eliminate the tree, eliminate the side lot variance, then we're just a proposed front yard
I don't think
variance?
the planning board, I spoke to the planning consultant today, Jim Levy. It didn't, he wasn't sure where the planning board would be in October. It seems like there's a bit of discussions to be happening. So I don't think even the planning board's gonna be done in October.
Okay.
That's just from talking to him, I just think that there's a lot still to be discussed
Okay.
at the planning board level, so.
so we don't even know what we're gonna be considering. Because the plan can change a bit
Yeah.
based upon what the planning board does.
It's not what you want to hear, but it's better to hear it now.
No, yeah, I'm just trying to like, if, you know, I don't want to go through and rework the plans to eliminate the tree, come 20 feet over, eliminate part of it, and
It's always
and the planning board
easier,
didn't really give
it's
anything.
easier to grant less variances than more variances.
Yeah.
But with that said, having two versus one, that, me personally, doesn't offend me.
Yeah.
So I'm.
Especially if the neighboring property that it would
Right.
affect is in favor of it.
Right, right.
You
So
know,
I don't have a quarrel with either scenario. That's just me personally. I can't
Yeah.
speak for my board.
I think we probably all feel that way.
Yeah, I think we probably all feel that way. We're just waiting to see what the planning board, what is this plan gonna look like once
Yeah.
the planning board gets done with it?
Yeah.
So
I would
we
say-
need to have a firm
I
agreed
guess
upon plan.
we'll just remove the more objectionable things that the planning board had, resubmit the plans and see if that, you know. I mean, if you remove some of the things that they don't like, then,
I think the lighting is very important.
yeah.
The lighting is very important, but there's gotta be some, and I don't know, but there's gotta be some kind of mechanism where you can have, you have a pre-meeting when you first have your application, don't you? Isn't there some mechanism during the course, I mean, some way that they can get in front of the planning board to iron this
I
thing out?
believe typically there's usually a pre-conference, a sketch plan beforehand. I don't know what happened, I mean, I don't attend those pre-meetings, so I don't know what was discussed or anything like
They
that.
can do a pre-conference, but the pre-conferences are out to the 21st. So
But did they have a pre-conference already?
They did.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do the pre-conference first before they even apply.
yeah.
But can you have something else, if something like, for example?
Typically, you could
Yeah,
you
make
go
a
on another
request and say,
pre-conference.
yeah, ask for another
Like if I had an
pre-conference.
opening on the 7th, but the 7th is full, and the 21st is almost full,
And I believe from
So-
talking to Jim, I think one of the
The
main,
21st of the next month.
of October, yeah.
and I think the planning board is waiting on review from CPL, which won't likely be until before the 21st meeting, from my understanding.
Planning board's schedule is very robust,
Yeah.
and it takes time.
I was happy when I was first on the agenda, 'cause there was a room full of people, and I was like, oh.
Are they for me?
It's not an easy job.
You missed the entertainment apparently, but,
Oh, at the end?
yeah,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, some woman came and basically asked me how septic systems work. And she asked where the septic field was on the property, and I was like, it's it's not part of that. And then she asked, what happens to the water once it goes in the septic field? And then, once it goes into the ground, what happens to it there? Does it go into the Hudson? I was like, I think you should talk to an engineer because, you know, it's,
You can say yes, it goes into that.
yeah. Well,
So-
okay, well,
So I guess,
Yeah.
we really can't do anything tonight. We appreciate your time and the additional information you provided to us. But because of the request of the planning board, I'm compelled to make a motion to continue the public hearing until,
So do you want to do it October 16th? We're not going to be able to move any further. I mean, it will allow if any neighbors want to speak. That's really the only, I think that would really be the
What would
only
you
thing
like?
that can happen.
I mean,
if you think having some neighbors come here would be helpful, that's fine. But they can also submit things in writing. The
yeah,
bottom line, what you're asking from us, I don't think we really have much of a quarrel with. The quarrel is with other matters before the
Yeah.
planning board. And because we don't know exactly what the plan is, we can't act.
yeah,
I mean, one thing I could suggest, so I think there's two options. One is to continue the public hearing just until the next month, and we'll be on the next month. If there's anything new to stay or anything new from the public, we can the ZBA can entertain it. If not, we can just continue it, because we're not going to have any further stuff from the planning board at that point. I mean, I don't think they're going to get anything from CPL before the 21st. Other thing is that we could postpone it to the 20th, November 20th. The planning board will at least have had a meeting, they'll have had their October meeting, and likely maybe even November, right? They should probably have November,
November would be.
November 18th, right? So that would give the planning board 2 meetings. We could always begin drafting the resolution, keeping up to date with the planning board, and if there's new changes, then we'll know
Because
to not
it's
do
a pretty
it.
simple application from our
I
perspective.
thought so.
And so maybe on the 20th of November, we could close the public hearing.
Yeah, if there's
and-
no new,
There's nothing new.
submission, I can begin to prepare. In fact, maybe what we could do, this is a discussion, if we want to postpone continue the public hearing to November 20th, you don't need to renotice, because we'll make the motion here. We can keep it, this application, we can keep the app, well, we can have it for October 16th, we just won't likely be able to do anything, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Kim's right.
Like I said, if you'd like to do it, but I don't see a resolution being prepared at that point, because we
Yeah,
won't have
yeah.
planning board discussions. or
But in
referral.
November, it's a greater possibility of.
It could happen, it would depend on how it goes with the planning board.
Right.
And the other thing, if we hold it to November, we could always keep, I don't know if this is, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, if you put this application on for old business on the 16th, we can start initial deliberations so that I can work on a resolution for November. That way, if nothing changes at the planning board that affects the ZBA,
Yeah,
we can have a resolution prepared for November 20th, assuming nothing changes.
Right, so
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we've done that in the past, where we would have the public hearing, we would close it, and then we would have the resolution
And
prepared.
it's subject,
the
of course,
same night.
of course, to if the planning board has any changes or has any design
well,
changes.
maybe I'll try emailing them and see, I mean, it can't hurt to email.
Communication is always good.
Yeah, I mean, because right now, we just don't know what they really, I mean, the lighting, I think if we took the lighting off, they certainly would be happy. I just don't know what other changes would, you know.
And that's why you should communicate with them in forward.
And
I don't know.
would we want to try and do a site visit, or do we want to wait till we hear more what the planning?
We can do a site visit, I think, because,
I mean, the site visit feels important to me.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be the
You
same.
know,
do you want to do that maybe
Was the other two?
the next,
No, one. Two have two.
yeah, we could do that, we could have combined, so it would be after, it would probably be towards the end of October we could do it. Because the next public hearing is the 16th, we typically do it a week or two after that. We could combine the meeting too.
So after the 21st, that way if there's any changes from planning, you can flag it the way
Right.
that discussion went. Stake it out.
Right, so
So
we
if,
can-
if the planning board has changes for October, do you think they would, but we don't know what the planning board says.
Whatever the discussion becomes, and if there is any decisions on this would be better this way or anything, then after the 21st, when they go out, it can be staked. However,
So-
the planning board,
We can
Things should
tentatively
be-
plan on coming out and visiting you towards the end of October, say the
Okay.
last weekend of October. And we can get the other two site visits in. We like to call them together, like a caravan that drives all over the place. Visits various sites.
You guys, the whole board comes or just?
Most of us, not all, it doesn't have to be,
We're
but.
curious.
Yeah.
be like October
We're nosy.
26th.
Yeah. That's fine.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing until
It's up to
November.
you, what, if you want to do it October or November.
I don't think October's going to help us, but I would say November 20th. And in the meantime, well, I make a motion that we can continue the public hearing until November 20th. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and in the meantime, what we're going to do is we'll find out what the planning board is up to, what you're up to. We'll come and do a site visit before that public hearing, and then hopefully we'll have enough information that we can have a resolution ready for you on the 20th. But that's really determined.
What the planning board does, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest then so the public hearing will be on November 20th.
Okay.
I would suggest that for the October meeting, we'll have this as old business,
Or discussion on them.
discussion only,
Yeah.
exactly. And then that way, the board can maybe perhaps deliberate on what they have in front of them.
Yep.
And it will be subject to if there's any changes. But that way, it will just help us move the ball forward.
Yeah,
if
no, I
there's-
appreciate it. Anything we do.
That sounds like
We'll keep the ball rolling
sounds like a
down.
plan.
And you'll see when you come, if you bring a soccer ball, you can drop it and see where it goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's it. The other question I had, which might not be a question for you, do I have to leave those signs up? The public hearing signs?
Is that how it's usually done? I don't know.
I
if it's
would leave
necessary.
them.
I would leave them
Usually
up,
it's helpful to
Amber.
leave them until the public hearing's closed,
Yeah.
just because if anybody has any questions.
Well, if you leave.
I just asked because I need to go put another stake in it because, I don't know, somehow it broke, the
I would do
metal
it.
stake.
It can't hurt.
Okay.
You don't need to make anyone unhappy on not having this on there.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's, I mean, come.
As soon as you take it down, somebody's
I
gonna
know.
be like.
Well, no, so I mean,
"Public
like,
hearing?"
I put it up early because I know it's like, it says 10 days, better off at 12 or 15 days. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So should I come in October? Is there any reason to come?
You don't have to unless,
You're more than
If I have
welcome
nothing
to,
better
but
to
there's
do.
if you
probably
have nothing
nothing
better
else
to do, which is an indictment of your personal life, I guess. No, seriously.
My kids were screaming when I walked out the door, so I was like, oh.
It's
Quiet here. It's quiet.
I leave it to you. We'd be happy to see you.
Okay.
But we will discuss, our initial feelings on where we're going to go with this thing.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Anything else? Kim?
So I have asked Gretchen to include Brookmead on for old business, kind of discussion purposes only. So as you might recall, after Brookmead, after last month, we closed the public hearing. We have 62 days from the date of the public hearing to issue a decision, which is usually about 2 months. But Sean Kemp, the attorney representing Brookmead, gave us an extension until November 20th, and so it gave us kind of an extra month. I don't, if anybody wants to discuss it, they can, they don't have to tonight. What I was working on for the board is going through those events that Sean had provided to us in July, kind of making a grid so it's all kind of on one space. The board had asked Sean last month to provide what events took place in 2017. I don't believe that's been received. Has anything been received? Gretchen, would you mind reaching out to Sean just to see if he could provide those? And then,
That seems like that's critical.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, that's critical. I'd like to have that, and then what
Do
I'd
you want
like,
just 2017 or just 2017 until?
I'd like 2017 onward, I'd like to
Yeah.
see the,
well, we have
whatever.
we have the stuff, we have the July 10th submission starts, I believe, March 2021.
So anything from 17 to when that list begins?
I would, you know what I would say is that, so if there's anything else to add beyond 2021 that Sean would like to add, we can. I think that the main question is really what happened in 2017 prior, because that's really, I think,
I'd like to have a whole history.
Yeah, I
Just
think
the
we
whole
could just make them have, give us the list of everything that's happened there
Yeah,
and do that work
So
for us.
2017 to
to
to now. And then what I would like is to have an attorney conference, because it is such a complex.
sure, yeah.
Maybe the complex is it's convoluted, I'm not sure. It's just,
It's a
there's
tough
a lot.
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
So once we get that information, then
I'll
meet
reach
with
out to
you.
you guys to schedule an attorney-client meeting.
Yes, I think that makes sense.
Gretchen, yeah, to the best of their ability, but for me, in addition to what my colleagues have said, I want to see the activity that they have, just in general, in addition to the variety of activities they have. So, it doesn't need to be perfect, but,
No, but it gives us a flavor of what's
Yeah.
going on, what's been going on.
it would be in their best interest, I think.
And you guys have a site visit already on this, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Brian and I went out. It's a huge, magnificent building. It's really very large.
Christine?
It is pristine.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wow, that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Who won?
Good.
Excellent, Steve.
Really?
Thank you, Steve.
Gretchen.